Okay, hello everybody. My name is Pessimist, and this is Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep Final Mix on the PlayStation 4. And we are doing Critical All Stories in this one. And what All Stories means is, first of all, Critical is the hardest difficulty in the game. And All Stories means that we are completing Terra's story, Ben's story, and Aqua's story, all of their base storylines, as well as both Secret Episode and Final Episode. So what that means is that to get Final Episode, we needed to get a bunch of secret reports called Xehanort's reports. In order to do that, we already have a completed Terra and Ven file that have gotten their reports, so Terra and Ven will be normal any percent runs. Then Aqua's run, we will go out of our way to get the last secret report in order to unlock those final two episodes, as well as just preparing for those final couple episodes. Aqua's run is different in we get a lot of extra chests and commands that in order to be prepared for what those final episodes give us. So we're starting out with Terra, because Terra has a lot of RNG at the very beginning of the run, and when you're grinding for world records, that's just something good. Something good to try to be efficient with resetting time and try to do this the best you can. In the context of a marathon run, it also makes sense to start with Terra just because Terra's the hardest. He's also the first on the character select screen. It doesn't really matter if you do Terra or Ven first, but Aqua needs to be done last, so that all of your new stuff carries over into the secret episode and final episode, and so that you don't unlock secret episode or final episode early for any reason. And so Terra, we just went through orbs. You just knock them around, try to hit them into each other. It's a pretty similar fight in all the stories. And now in this fight, we are going into Ventus D-Link. A D-Link in BBS is essentially their replacement for summons. It replaces your commands with commands themed to the character you are interacting with. And these D-Links level up completely randomly by RNG, by these D-Link drops. The little flower thing that you saw drop already a couple of times. In Terra's run, the heavy RNG of his run is we want to get both a Ven D-Link level and an Aqua D-Link level in this first force fight. The Ven level we need for 2 fights in the run, and the Aqua level we use a lot for a lot of fights. And to do optimal strats, we want Aqua level 2 by the next world. So when you have the ability to reset whenever, it's just time efficient to try to get the 1 Aqua level in this fight. So you can just worry about 1 Aqua level in the fight coming up. So a couple other things we still need to talk about with this run. You saw me earlier equipping EXP 0. EXP 0 is the quickest way to go through all the speedruns in Birth by Sleep. Terra's run is on EXP 0 is a minute slower than... Sorry, 2 minutes slower than his beginner run. The other 2 characters are faster on level 1 than on the easiest difficulty. And that's because EXP 0 has some weird properties where it boosts damage for each individual hit. And those properties add up a lot over the course of the run, and you'll see some weird interactions that causes. In the meantime, all I'm doing, I'm picking up some chests. These chests will be used to make stronger commands later, or just to sell for money. And we're going to go into Wheelmaster here. This fight is the reason we want the Ven D-Link level right away. We're going to step forward, go into Ven D-Link, start mashing away. We want the D-Link level because Ven's passive ability here makes these attacks a lot faster than they would normally be. When dealings level up, they get passive abilities as well as the commands, the different abilities you can use. So we're going to get him to this HP barrier, intentionally get hit, hope he actually stops. He kept going. That's bad RNG. But so in this case, he's going to jump around. We just jump around with him, continue to hit him, and that's essentially the fight. This fight was okay. Getting the HP barrier was a little awkward, but that's happened sometimes, because the amount of damage Ven's finisher does isn't consistent. So sometimes you can over-damage him, sometimes you can under-damage him. It can be weird. So I will discuss commands a little bit and how commands are used, but first there's some interesting movement coming up in Dwarf Woodlands right now. We go to Dwarf Woodlands before Castle of Dreams. For reasons I will get to later. But first, Terra's Shotlock allows to... It's called Sonic Shadow. It makes Terra actually move to whatever target he's pointing at. So that means we can just jump Shotlock. We can hit the urns, since they're targetable things, and Terra will just go straight up to the urns, and we can skip a lot of movement. Just going up there, getting the Flame Salvo chest. Flame Salvo is another Shotlock. You'll be seeing it a lot later. It's very useful. And we also have a nice little sequence break here. We just jump up the wall, sliding dash over here, get the Fission Fire chest. You're not supposed to be able to get that until you get high jump. The devs didn't consider you could just sliding dash over. We're going to equip the commands we picked up earlier, and in order for them to level up and go into this fight. This fight, we're just going to go into Aqua D-Links. Aqua D-Link has Magnet and Thunder at level 1. We're level 2 already, so we can use Mind Square as well. And these combinations of commands will kill things really quickly. So, now let's talk a little bit about commands. Commands in BBS are your basic attacks. They're how you do basic RPG abilities. Like, Ars Arcanum, that's a command. Potions, ethers, like basic items are commands. And then the commands you're seeing right now are like the magnets and the sliding dashes and the fires and all of those are commands. So you have a limit of how many commands you can have in your command deck, and each of these commands level up based on how many enemies and stuff that you kill while you're using those commands. So a lot of what we're doing earlier with picking up chests, we're going to sell a couple of these commands, but a lot of them we're getting and equipping before that fight so they can level up. Because when the commands level up enough, you can do something called meld them, which is to combine the commands together to make better commands. This is an interaction we use in all 3 stories to get strong commands ASAP, and to try to take advantage of getting access to early abilities really quickly. So this is Mirror. We're going to hit him a couple times and fission him, go into Aqua D-Link. We're essentially going to knock him over while filling up the gauge right below Aqua's name in order to get Magic Volley, which is Aqua's finisher. Then we're going to see what Mirror does. He can do a couple different patterns. This time he went underground. We're waiting for an attack where he's going to fly straight up in the air, like that, back and straight up a bit. We're going to Mind Square, and now we're going to Magic Volley. The Magic Volley, when he goes into the Mind Square, actually causes a lingering hitbox where Mirror is being hit multiple times by the Mind Square. And as you can see by the health difference, it does a ton of damage. And it can be used with good RNG and a little bit of luck to kill him in 1 cycle, or as I like to call it, 0 cycle, because you can stop him from doing any of his other attacks. But you have to get lucky, and the timing is also incredibly difficult. It's very hard to get that right. Before we go into Castle of Dreams, we're going to come back to Dwarf Woodlands and do some shopping. Selling Quick Blitz, Sliding Dash, Vision Fire, Blizzard, Sleep, and our items to buy 2 Fires, 2 Thunders, a Cure, 2 Magnets, and 2 Binds. All these commands we're buying are going to be melded into stronger commands after this next world. Magnet Thunder, you saw when we were using it in Aqua D-Link, is a very, very powerful combination in this game. Because, as I said, EXP 0 boosts your damage output with each individual hit. And Magnet actually does multiple hits when the enemies are swirling around. Every couple seconds, that counts as a hit. And the Thunder does an initial hit, and it also bops them around in the Magnet, which causes extra hits. So the Magnet Thunder combination does a lot of damage and essentially destroys mob fights. This is the essential combo that we will be using for the vast majority of mob fights in this game throughout every character's story. And Magnet, when melded together, can also get us some powerful abilities. Like, one thing you may have noticed is we're getting random drops like hungry crystals and pulsing crystals. I believe I grab a pulsing crystal chest here. Yes, I do. It's just as a pulsing crystal. And what these crystals do is when you combine 2 commands together to make a stronger command, they will give you random abilities. Like your Second Chance ability, or Once More ability, or Leaf Bracer ability. Those abilities you commonly see in JRPGs, you get it by combining the commands while using a certain item. And so these drops are very important throughout each of the run. Each run has different drops we need to worry about. But all 3 need a Wellspring drop and a Pulsing drop to get Second Chance and Once More. That's very important. We also want fleeting drops in a lot of them, because fleeting drops allow us to get magic haste and attack haste, which means our commands come off cooldown quicker, which means we can spam them a lot more, which means we can kill things quicker, and that adds up to a lot quicker fights just overall. Cinderella's escort, all we're doing is clearing things out of the way for Cinderella. She will walk quicker if there isn't anything in her way. So we're just trying to spread out our Magnet Thunders in such a way that we kill things as quickly as possible. For example, catching these 2 bruisers in 1 magnet. Coming back, catching all this in another magnet. In this case, this bruiser has stayed away from Cindy and let her keep walking, which is pretty good RNG. Stuff like that doesn't always happen. And we're just going along, we're magneting and thundering stuff. We're leveling up our commands, getting a couple item drops that will be sold later on for a little bit extra money. Looking to see if we can get some fleeting crystals, or maybe even a Wellspring. And there's not a lot else to this fight, except at the very end here, we wait for Cinderella to get to the end of the escort, and we purposely spawn these boot enemies. So, because this animation that starts here, for whatever reason, if you spawn the boots behind Cinderella and then end the escort, that animation actually deals damage to the boots. So it actually kills the boots, you can potentially get a fleeting drop, and also some extra XP for your commands if they're falling behind. We'll grab a Soothing Crystal there, that's for an HP boost. We need 1 HP boost for a boss fight at the very end of the run. And we're going to go fight Music Maestro. Music Maestro is a weird guy, because his main attacks are based around these 3 instruments that like to come at you and be a real pain in the butt. I don't like dealing with that, so use Aqua D-Link. The Aqua D-Link finisher, which we've already been acquainted with, does a large amount of damage and staggers him. Whenever he's staggered, he'll do this black move right here, which makes him immune. And in the meantime, we can just use Magnet to trap the instruments, because they are actually sucked into Magnet. So we just get him down, magnet to get the instruments out of our way so they can't troll us. You can knock him down, do it again, he'll jump up in the air, he comes back down, and this finisher will kill. And that's essentially early game for Terra's run. If you're going for really optimal times, there's a lot of RNG involved with what pattern the mirror does, like what type of drops you have at this point in the run. Obviously the D-Link levels are a big one for optimal times. There's more than enough backup strats for everything, though, that you can manage in just about any situation. Mysterious Tower, we go for some cutscenes. In the meantime, we also do a menu. This is our first instance of melding commands together. We're going to get a Thundara with an attack haste, which is nice. That'll be useful later. We get a Magnera with an HP boost. Again, that HP boost is moved much later. And a Cura. The HP boost is optional, but it's nice to have. We're going to fill our commands with essentially every command we bought in Dwarf Woodlands that we haven't leveled up to this point. All of those commands need to be leveled up for other stuff, so we're putting all that in now, along with a Magnera to make this next force fight go faster. So before the next boss fight, we're going to be doing another menu to get a lot of our commands that we're using for the rest of this run. We already have most of what we're getting. We just need to level up these current commands that we have. And I'll get into why that's important when that comes up. Because essentially we're just melding these together. We want a couple Magneras because again, Magnet Thunder is very strong. Also, the Magneras are melded together to get once more, which is very important for final bosses. We also want a Thundara, that'll help get a Thunder Surge later. We're going to meld a couple Ignites. Ignite's a very powerful single target command we use for a lot of boss fights. And that's essentially the long and short of what we're building up to this point. This force fight, we're again trying to Magnet Thunder in an efficient way. I ran out of D-Link here, which leads to a couple issues. You'll notice that whenever I use Aqua D-Link, I'm constantly switching in and out of the D-Link. I'll pop into Aqua, cast a couple spells, and then leave it. That's because if you pop out of the D-Link and then re-enter it, the cooldowns just are done. You don't have to worry about cooldowns anymore. So as long as you have enough blue orbs to refill your D-Link gauge, to be able to get back into a D-Link, you can essentially spam the commands however much you want. So that's why, even though I have a couple magnets, I still use Aqua's D-Link a decent amount, because it's a lot quicker than waiting for the cooldowns on my own commands. So, a couple more commands we need. We're going to buy a couple Fire Dashes and a Magnet. I didn't have quite enough money to get the Magnet right away, and goofed around a bit in menus, which is ultimately fine. That's our second to last shopping trip in the game. You won't see another Moogle for a long while, actually. So in this room, we're going to go over here, kill these guys, because we really want these two chests. These two chests have a fleeting crystal, which again, we're going to use for an attack haste. That's very useful in Terra's run. We're also going to get a Thunder Surge. Thunder Surges are one of the strongest commands in the game, because they are very quick, they have iframes throughout the entire thing, and they can hit an enemy multiple times. And again, on level 1, your damage is amplified with each individual hit, so if your commands hit multiple times, that makes it very strong. So we're going to be using a lot of Thunder Surges from here on out, just not quite now. So we're going to make a couple Ignites, like I said earlier, very strong single target command. Get a Leaf Bracer on top of it. Leaf Bracer means we can cure anywhere and have it not be interrupted. And now we're going to equip that Thunder Surge, equip the Fire Dashes we got that we got earlier, put in get the Ignites as well as a Magnera and the Thundara. And make our way down here, grab a couple chests. This is an Esnua chest that is used for melding later. And we're also going to grab a Blackout chest before we go anywhere, which we will use to sell to get a little extra money. And then we're just going to take a bit of a breather and make our way into the Trinity armor fight. Trinity Armor is a boss you fight as all three characters in each of their stories. It basically signifies the midpoint of the game. It's not quite the midpoint of each run, but it's supposed to signify the midpoint of the game, everyone coming together and fighting the same guy. So the point of these fire dashes, aside from a bit of movement you saw me do earlier, is to get into this command style called Firestorm. A command style you get when you fill up the gauge above your commands with specific types of attacks. For example, fire dashes are a fire element command, and that leads you into the Firestorm command style because you're using fire attacks. It makes you glow on fire, and your attack's slightly stronger. We really use it for this Firestorm finisher, which we can use to plop the fire right under Trinity Armor's feet and do a lot of damage. Firestorm is really the only command style we care about for the sake of Terra's run. We'll also get a Thunderstorm from the Thunder Surges we're getting, as well as more than likely Blade Shards. Both of those are pretty useless for the most part in the context of the speedrun. So we break those two body parts, and then that leaves just the head. This Mega Laser is an insta-kill, but we can just stand under him and not have to worry about it. And then the rest of the fight is just getting our Firestorm command before he does this attack where he could easily kill us. Firestorm him, and he's dead. And that is the Trinity Armor fight. The basic concept of Trinity Armor is the same for all three characters. You need to kill the legs and the propeller body part. But how you go about it's different. Bit of cool movement tech here. If you use a D-Link, if you start a D-Link as you're falling down, D-Link will actually pull you straight to the ground immediately. Kill a mob there just to level up some commands. And now we're going to do a lot of movement over to the Breg fight. But the concept of Trinity is the same. How you go about it is different for each character. One thing to note with the fire dash movement I'm doing here is I'm trying to purposely fire dash into enemies. Because if you fire dash or sliding dash into an enemy, you can dodge out of the dash to cancel its animation, which means you can end the animation faster and get back into your dodging, which is the quickest way to move. So ideally, if the movement is optimal, you will always be going straight through an enemy. That's what I'm aiming for throughout all of this. So this is Breg. As you can see, he has two eyes. Don't worry about it. That's fixed in a bit. So he goes up at the top, bounces around. This is where we get to see how powerful Ignite is. Ignite is a single target damage over time ability. Essentially, it does a set amount of damage each time you cast it, and it does not stack at all. I'm going to die here because I didn't realize he had already attacked on the ground. I'll explain his attack pattern when we do the refight. But Ignite, single target, damage over time. They don't stack on each other, but they do a set amount of damage each time, which makes them very powerful on level 1 because it does the same amount of damage as it does on beginner. So it's very useful in the fact that it will do a lot of damage each time. So the boss patterns for this guy is he will shoot you on the ground, and then he'll go up in the air and shoot you. Or vice versa. He can go up in the air and then on the ground. Either way, he's shooting at you a few times, and then he's going to go into that little circle attack. You just cancel the circle attack by dealing damage to him. The two quickest ways to do that are either to shot lock him to deal damage, or to jump and ignite in midair. The jump ignite timing can be a little tricky, so the shot lock is a bit safer, if slightly slower, because the jump ignite, if the ignite lands, can deal damage when he goes back up and does his little shooting down at you attack again. A really good fight will kill him within 2 cycles. An average fight is before a 3rd cycle is completed, like that. And that's essentially the Brag fight. That fight is all around just knowing when he's going to shoot at you, so you can block his projectiles back at him. And it's also about knowing when he's going to jump around so you can land your ignites. It's very easy to miss your ignites in that fight. And if you miss your ignites, then he's just jumping around and you're not dealing damage. And it can also cause a glitch where he just stands there and does nothing. And if you try to ignite him, it won't hit him. And if you try to go hit him normally to get him out of it, he could kill you. So that's a lot of fun. 3 more worlds open up. We go to Disney Town first because it's close and why not. We have a quick menu here where we equip the 1 magnet we bought in Disney Town. I also shortcut Magnera to make menus faster. And welcome to Kingdom Carts. Obviously the best part of the run. I don't know why you would say otherwise. It has a little boost like Mario Kart. You have little drifting stuff, and by drifting I mean you brake and it just change direction wildly. It's kind of weird. There's a shortcut in the middle of the track. We just take it. There are tornadoes towards the end. We just avoid them. The only real way to lose this race is to get hit by a tornado on the last lap, because these guys rubber band like no one's business. Also, that's best voice clip RNG. You could, whatever, there's always one duck that passes you, and they have random voice clips, and later alligator's my favorite. So, I like to listen for whatever voice clip I get. That's kind of the most entertaining thing about this whole endeavor. Ideally, you want to finish under 2 minutes. There's not much else to this other than what you are currently seeing. This is really our biggest breather in Terra's segment of the run, because as you have probably been able to see at this point, Terra's is very, very fast. You are doing a lot of hard stuff really, really quickly. And I know I made a lot of the strats look pretty straightforward in this run, but every fight I did has a lot of very specific ideas and specific inputs. It's a surprisingly technical run when you try to do it yourself. Even that first boss fight, where you're just spamming vent attacks, there's a lot of very specific things you're looking for in terms of his HP gate and how much damage you're dealing and how you're reacting to whatever moveset he gets you once you hit the HP gate, and really just making sure you don't get killed trying to get there. So there's a lot of technical stuff in this fight beyond the surface level that's hard to keep track of, especially since on this difficulty, on level 1, you die really quickly. 2 or 3 hits by almost anything will kill you, and there are some just insta-death moves. In an 90% run, there's only 1 cutscene here. In all stories, there are 3 for all 3 characters. Kinda sucks. But what can you really do? We go to Olympus Coliseum before Deep Space. Because if we do Deep Space first, we will get the Thunderstorm command style, which means when we Magnet Thunderstam, we have to sit through the animation of entering that command style, and that loses time. We don't want to do that, so we do Olympus Coliseum first. A funny thing about routing here is you'll notice I'm jumping and attacking in the middle of my thunders. That is simply because when that extra hit actually gives the commands a little more experience. Why? I have no idea. It doesn't make any sense to me either, but for some reason, throwing the extra hit in gets you some extra experience, which is nice. It makes the command routing more consistent, so you can always meld what you need to meld when you need to meld it. Now we go into 10 rounds. 10 rounds is a lot of fun. It's a lot of Magnet Thunder stuff. The main thing we're looking out for is any type of drop we can get. Like a Wellspring from these guys is very nice to get. I actually get it this run. If you get a Wellspring drop, it saves 8 seconds for the chest you'd have to get in deep space otherwise. Otherwise, looking for pulsings if you don't have one already. In a marathon run and no reset run like this, you're getting the chest in Castle of Dreams, so whatever. You're looking for fleeting drops, hoping to get a few of those. Hopefully a couple commands that you can just sell for extra money. Because money can sometimes be a bit funky. Usually it's fine, but every so often it can be weird, so any safeguard against that you can get is nice. In the meantime, we're just going around, killing stuff with magnets and thunders, and occasionally the finisher. The main stuff we're looking for is that, as well as unlocking Gold Rush, which you just did. We also want Flame Salvo to reach level 4, so that it will charge up quick enough for a strat coming up. We also want the Fire Dashes to be level 3, so that we can properly meld them, because you do have to have your commands at a specific level to actually meld them together. Jellyfish are actually scary, but if you dodge correctly, you shouldn't die here. And one straggler, for the heck of it. This game trolls sometimes. And by sometimes I mean a lot, but details. So, quick menu here. We're going to meld our stun edge from all the way at the beginning of the run that we kept until now with the magnet we equipped. We're going to replace the Fire Dash with the Curas. We're going to equip the Magnera. We're also going to equip Sonic Impact. That's a movement ability that gives you an extra slide. It's just used for some basic movement stuff a couple worlds from now. So Zack's a pain in the butt. So the general strat here is to use Ignites with other commands to stagger him to death. We start out with the Ignites of shot locks, then hit him a couple times, Ignite, Thunder, Thunder Surge. And now we're going to switch between some hits, Ignite, the Thunder, Thunder Surge if we have it. You could throw in a magnet for damage, but the magnet won't stagger him. You'll notice I have the Firestorm finisher, so I can no longer hit him. So I'm trying to make sure he's in the corner so my Firestorm finisher does the maximum amount of damage. And keep him around there so I can continue to do decent damage and whack him before he can do anything too crazy. Sometimes he can break out, and that's when things get scary, but if you time your commands well, it's usually okay. Zack 2 is scary. So Flame Salvo that we got in Dwarf Woodlands, it does basically no damage, you can see that, but what we use it for is iframes. So if we max out our Flame Salvo and then go mashing out more of it like we are right here, the iframes last just long enough so that Zack's super mega attack here doesn't deal damage to us. So we use that in order to hit him a few times, ignite him, do that to get him in a loop where he'll do the mega attack at us, then we shot lock to keep him in that loop. And since Ignite does that set amount of damage over time, he's taking damage from the Ignite during this long animation. And the Ignite does enough damage to where we will not run out of focus before he dies. This is our last shot lock. As you can see, we're out of focus, but we'll be able to kill him without doing another shot lock. with some ignites and a well-timed Thunder Surge after he takes some ignite damage. And that is Zac. There were a lot of old strats that we used to do there involving Ven D-Link, where you could potentially loop him with that. But it turned out to be a lot slower just because Ignite's really, really good. That's a reoccurring theme, is just Ignite's incredibly balanced. This is the hardest fight in the game. Super hard. Just run around and press X. It's really hard. It is legitimately hard to stay near the center, but that's it. This fight doesn't give you experience, it doesn't give your commands experience. Like, I don't know what the point of it is, but you run in circles. I have actually died there before, just because they killed me before I can react. It was pretty funny. So, entering deep space now. We're going into this force fight. So, we now have 2 Magneras, which means we can really start abusing the power of Aqua's D-Link and the Magneras we have. Where we use Aqua's D-Link to kill the first wave, we can use our Magnera Thunder to kill this wave, go back into Aqua D-Link in order to get most of this wave dead, and still have a Magnet left over to catch these guys and go back in Aqua D-Link to finish them off. Between Aqua D-Link and 2 Magneras, you can basically magnet mobs infinitely. And with Terra's case, that's just by far the best way to deal with mob fights. There is just not a better way to go about it. This way gives you crowd control and lets them be very easy to manage without putting you in harm's way. I killed that guy just because I did not have enough D-Link to do the strats coming up. This room's slow. You can spam triangle, but it's the same speed. So if you go up to this wall and go into Cinderella's D-Link, Cinderella's D-Link has this weird thing where if you shot lock onto something of a higher elevation, Enchanted Step will pull you up to that elevation. So normally you're supposed to go to a panel and turn off the gravity, basically make it so you can float up there by bouncing on boxes, and that's slow. So we just fly. Don't worry about it. This is Sparky. To this point, we've basically used Magnet for mob fights and Ignite for single target fights, so I give you one guess what we're doing in this one. He flies around a lot. He can go in on the ground here and do an AoE attack. He can dash straight at you like a little Pikachu. He can go into center and cast some balls down. Like, you're basically just reacting to what he does and Ignite spamming in the middle of it. The interesting thing about this fight is these guns in the middle. He's scripted to go into them like that at some point in the fight, and these guys shoot at you. You can run in a circle and avoid it. It's kind of funny. You can also block it, but that's harder than running in a circle. It's possible to beat this fight without him going into these guns, and it saves like 30 seconds, but it's RNG. It is very RNG. It happens once every like 100 fights. And it's just a real pain in the butt. But we're going to continue running around and igniting him. This is phase 2 when he leaves the guns. He has a couple extra attacks we have to worry about, but we're really just reacting to whatever he happens to do. I'm not curing because I'd have to cure twice for one hit to not kill me, so there's really no point. Again, Flame Salvo iframes are very good to take advantage of. Very useful stuff. Oh, I forgot to mention the Wellspring chest that I didn't have to get because I got a Wellspring drop was in the room we did the Cinderella movement. You lose like 8 seconds going out of your way to pick up the chest before doing that movement otherwise. So, reaching Neverland, this is probably the hardest force fight in the game. No, it's definitely the hardest force fight in Terra's run. It starts out simple enough. You can Magnet Thunder some guys. I specifically pull these guys back to where more enemies will spawn, so I can Mind Square, the Floods all die immediately, as well as that big ape guy, and I can use Aqua's finisher to start beating up on the bird. When the bird dies, you're going to see these big apes pop up. The reason this force fight sucks is because these apes cannot be drawn into Magnet. So we really cannot control them like we do normal enemies. We can stagger them using Ignite, as well as Ignite doing good damage, so really we're just trying to do that. There's also a neat glitch I did there, where if you lock onto a target, ignite something, and then switch targets, you can ignite more than one enemy at a time. I managed to ignite all 3 of the apes in that particular fight at the same time with only 2 ignites, which is why that fight went pretty well. Last shopping trip of the run, we're going to sell a bunch of useless stuff until we have 2,300 money. Then we're going to get 3 Thunder Surges and a block. Block may seem weird, but it's because we need an ability called Renewal Block, which means we get healed whenever we block any incoming damage based on the amount of damage we would have taken. And you need a level 1 block to meld that, because the block we have equipped right now is level 3. And if you use if you make a new renewal block out of that, it can lead to strange stuff happening with you not being able to equip block at all, and it's not a lot of fun. Sonic Impact we use for just movement here. It also breaks the rock. And now we come on the true villain of this video game. The absolute villain. Look at the information, just put him in his place. His place happens to be this corner over here. The second place in the run I was mentioning where we use D-Link is actually this fight. However, if you have enough money, you can do a faster strat, which I'm doing here, which is Ignite Gold Rush Loop. And it allows you to stick him in the corner, hit him a few times, ignite him whenever you can, Gold Rush as a finisher, and he just never leaves. The Ven strat here is to Thunder Surge him at the start, ignite him, and then just wail on him with Ven's D-Link, with the faster attack speed that passive gives. Usually you can't do the Ignite strat because you have to sell 1 Ignite to have enough money to buy the commands I just bought, but because I had a bunch of extra commands I could get away with not doing that. This is a lot of jellyfish. 1 magnet kills them, so we go into Aqua D-Link again, kill a lot of these guys at once. And it's pretty fun. We also level up commands really quickly. So the commands that, the Curas we put in earlier maxed out levels from here. The Ignites also maxed out levels, the Magnets maxed out levels. Like, this is where we get all the extra levels we need for final fights coming up. If you're wondering why not a lot of people run Terra, these 4 fights coming up are why. These 4 fights coming up are really technical, really difficult, and can just screw you over in a large magnitude of ways. But before we get that, this is our last menu of the game. We're going to do a bunch of melding. First, we're going to meld our Fire Dash with a Thundara. That will give us a Thunder Surge. Then we meld a Fire Dash with an Ignite, which gives us a Fire Surge. Meld our cures together with the pulsing, that'll give us second chance. Our magnets of Wellspring will give us once more. And the Esnua with the block again is renewal block, which heals us whenever we block for however much damage we would have taken. We're going to equip all of our surges, the Curiga with second chance and the Magnera with once more, as well as the renewal block, and I personally take off Sonic Impact. I don't like it. I think it makes these fights harder. And we're going to go into the Ericus fight. Like I said, all of these fights coming up are really technical and really difficult. So, really, I'm giving you the surface level of what's going on here. The Ericus fight is all about making sure he does not DM. A DM is just a desperation move. It makes the screen go black, the boss becomes invulnerable, it takes a long time, it's no good, very bad. Ericus's is especially long and can easily murder you. We don't like it. The way we try to go about stopping him from doing that is this loop with Thunder Surges, where we Thunder Surge him until he retaliates. He put us at 1 health. We live because we have second chance and once more. And then hopefully, he's being mean right here. Hopefully, because we have renewal block, he will retaliate us again after we do after he puts us at 1 HP, and we can block that retaliation, get back to full health or close to it, and then we can continue to surge him. He was mean there, doing a couple shot lock moves. We really don't want him to do that. We want him to stay in this loop until the end of time of just countering us to deal damage, then we block to get healed up to full. The really odd thing that's going on here is him doing a DM isn't based on him staggering. Him doing a DM is actually based on where he is in the boss arena. If he goes into the middle of the arena, he will try to DM. So we're really just trying to keep him out of the middle of the arena as much as possible. And after he trolled a bit, that was a pretty decent ending to the fight. If he trolls, you're really just waiting around for him to attack so you can block it, or for your cure to be off cooldown. All of your stuff starts the fight on cooldown because you did a menu before this. There's really no way around that. That's just kind of how it is. This game is weird like that. But, once you know what you're doing with that fight, you can skip Ericus's DM pretty consistently. It's just all about being able to block in time and making sure he does not get in the middle of the arena. These tornadoes have really hard fights and long fights. We don't like them. If you go near one, then another will stop pursuing you. So we purposely just go near one, get pursued by it, then go near another one. That pursues us, the last one stops. So none of them will catch up to us in the end. So it's final fight time. The split name is very appropriate for these two upcoming fights. If you've watched a Birth by Sleep run before and another AGDQ, or something along those lines, this strat will look fairly familiar. We're going to start out by dodging to try to make Xehanort go away, because Xehanort can really troll us. We don't like that. And we're going to go into Peter Pan D-Link. These jump attacks are to fill up the meter faster, so we can get to his finisher ASAP. And then we're going to shot lock to try to get Vanitas to actually do his DM, where he's going to light up and jump in the air. Going to hit him with the Peter Pan finisher. The Peter Pan finisher does like 100 attacks. Each attack is being amplified by EXP0, and they're all done in really quick succession, and it blows stuff up. And it's great. We don't use it until now, because we don't get access to it until after Neverland. We don't use it on Ericus because the game doesn't allow us to go into D-Link. We don't use it on this Xehanort fight because if Xehanort gets staggered, he has a coded thing to just fly away from you, like he's doing for me right now. You can kind of get around that if you time your surges well, which is what I'm attempting to do, and just stun lock him like this until the end of time, hopefully. And we also will not use Peter Pan in the final fight because, again, the game blocks you from using D-Link. It's really obnoxious how the game does that sometimes. Also, if you are using a different Keyblade going into this last fight against Terranort, then you just get booted back to the default Keyblade. We don't switch Keyblades typically because switching Keyblades does literally nothing. Also, this is Terranort. Say hi to Terranort. Terranort is the scariest story fight in this game. Basically, he does basic moves that Terra has access to. He shotlocks you, he does Ars Arcadum, which is that leaping move that he does. The Earth Dash is a reference to Terra's D-Link finisher for other characters who have access to it. And he can also cure, just like Terra does. And basically, all I'm doing in this fight is I want him to do this attack right here, this Ars Arcanum attack, or the Ars Solemn, this one. And I have specific timings I am using my Thunder Surge to get damage in while not taking damage myself. You'll notice him curing, that's perfectly fine. So, Terranort will cure 3... If you're doing the fight well, he should only cure 3 times. But it's very hard to skip cure cycles. He will almost always cure 3 times on the critical difficulty. On the, say, the beginner difficulty, there's plenty of cureless fights. There's like 1 cure fights. There are 5 cure fights. Like, he can be annoying with that. But on crit, if you're doing the fight well, 3 times maximum. His DM, I kind of just glossed over. He shoots meteorites at you. You go in a corner. You either block the meteorites, or you flame salvo him. He's going to do it again. The reason I'm running around is because the meteorites can come up from underneath you and hit you, which is fun. Instead of trying to skip cures, I'm really trying to skip DMs. He does 3 on average, and as you can tell, his DMs are just really long, and I want nothing to do with it. Also use Flame Salvo iframes to get around attacks like that Super Shotlock, because otherwise that can deal a lot of damage. And the Flame Salvo iframes are just incredibly valuable. The amount of damage you do isn't anything worth noting, but the iframes are really nice. He's going to troll me a bit and make me sit through 1 more DM before the fight ends. But this is what a decent Terranort fight looks like. One where he's not really trolling too much, and I'm able to get damage in. And that is Terra's story. Terra's story is by far the hardest of the 3 stories. Just because it's very technical, and those final fights are really hard to do properly. And even the earlier fights that looked a lot easier, there's just a lot of specific inputs and a lot of things to keep in mind. For the sake of an All Stories run, you're allowed to soft reset immediately after the final boss is killed, because we already set up our save files for Terra and Ven. So when we kill these 2 bosses, we're going to quickly soft reset the game and just pick our new character. Which is very convenient in the context of just doing a normal All Stories run, and also in the context of doing any type of relay or anything along those lines. So every character does orbs. Ven's orbs are unique because he doesn't start in the middle like the other 2 characters. He starts outside, which is kind of an advantageous position because Ven actually starts with the Flame Salvo Shotlock. And Flame Salvo at this point in the game actually does decent damage. By the time Terra gets it, it's fallen off, but for Ven it does pretty good damage, especially to these orbs. And again, knocking the orbs into each other, shot locking them, because Flame Salvo is actually pretty solid here. and just hoping they don't troll. They can fly around and just be a real pain in the butt sometimes. Some runners get very, very stingy with how fast their orbs are. So the Ven route hasn't really changed since it's been showcased in GDQ last year. This is basically the same route with couple strats just being done slightly differently for preference. So you go over here, you pick up this ether chest, go into the mines, and in the mines you're going to equip the sliding dash for mostly movement, little bit of combat here and there, as well as equip EXP 0, because again, level 1, fastest way to play this game, except for Terra. Terra's left out and lonely. Buy a couple ethers for a boss later, and go into one of the dumbest fights in this entire game. So dwarfs are a major pain in the butt. They just hide. They just hide and scream, and they're in these boxes. We need to kill these boxes. We try to do specific combos to do it as quickly as possible. An ideal fight means we will get to the end quick enough to not have to wait around for the minecart at the very end. The last dwarf will be in a minecart riding around on a cycle, and we want to hit a specific cycle timing with the minecart. Ideally, we want to see the minecart coming into view about now, like it is there. And really, we're just using arrow and strike raid and sliding dash to try to get through these things quickly, get the fever pitch command style, and get the fever pitch finisher, which we are going to use on this next box. This quick strike raid, fever pitch finisher will kill it. And in this particular run, we were fast enough to hit the mine square cycle, so we could arrow him, sliding dash him, hit him a couple times, and not have to wait around for anything. That's a very hard fight to do effectively each run, because there's RNG with where Sneezy is, like he'll hop around and start in different positions, and that can screw up how quickly you can get over there towards the minecart, and if you screw up the cycle, then suddenly everything in the strat can get screwed up. Yeah, we're going to get one more ether. We're going to equip that along with Mini, which is probably the coolest ability in this game. Mini, when cast, just makes every enemy smaller, and you can literally stomp on them, and it's actually great. This is the only fight you see it, though, so enjoy it while you can. This is Snow White Escort. Each character has one escort. For Terra's, that was Cinderella. For Ven's, it's Snow White. Cinderella's my favorite because it's pretty straightforward. Snow White's, there's a lot of technical stuff going on. You're having to, like Cinderella, you're killing enemies in order to have her run forward. But if you know where the enemies spawn, you can kill the enemies in specific orders to not really slow down Snow White much. You also have to be specific with making sure most of these enemies die, or they can come back later and be a real nuisance. And so I'm just going out of my way, trying to kill enemies I know will spawn in front of Snow White. I know this soldier will spawn, so I can sliding dash him out of the way, push him around, so Snow White actually skips that tree. There's a couple trees I actually skipped while doing this fight. I skipped one in the beginning, like the initial tree command that I did actually hit the second tree, where normally you would have to do two of them. And I also skipped a command for that tree that was chasing Snow White down, because I pushed the soldier, whatever it's, I can't think of the name for some reason, out of the way before it spawned in Snow White's way and made her wait. Again, that's a pretty tough fight to do effectively. like Ven's early game specifically has a lot of very specific stuff going on that can be hard to execute on a consistent basis. For example, the strat for this tree, 11 shot lock. 11 exactly. If you screw this up, it can make the tree fall down when you don't want him to. We ideally want him to fall down on the second shot lock, so that this shot lock will do maximum damage, and then he'll go dark and hopefully not go dark again. It's RNG if he goes dark twice. He's immune during the second one, but pacing them at 11 shot locks each just allows the shot locks to do the most efficient amount of damage and allows you to stagger him for the most amount of time. And the last shot lock, you can just use whatever you have left. So that's Dwarf Woodlands. Now we're on to the most BS part of the All Stories run, in my opinion. It's my least favorite part of any BBS run, and you'll see why really quickly. So, Castle of Dreams, the gimmick here is Ventus was shrunk to the size of a mouse, so everything around him is bigger than it should be. You go to this Moogle, sell the mini, it was fun while it lasted, buy a couple sliding dashes for movement, as well as 3 sleeps, we'll use that later. Equip the sliding dashes because, again, movement. And then we actually have some cool movement coming up where we can kill these floods. And jump to spawn this flood above us, lock on, and then attack while we're falling. If you attack in this game while you are falling down, you can actually gain extra height to try to reach the enemy you are targeting. Going to get a fleeting crystal. That fleeting is really important. Get this balloon letter, which is also really important, and then pick up these items we're instructed to pick up to repair Cinderella's dress. But in the meantime, we have some grinding to do. So we're going to go into Snow White's D-Link. Grumpy is Treasure Raid, so ideally Treasure Raid causes things to drop from these enemies, but without actually killing them. This grinding really sucks. We're looking for 4 D-Link levels, 2 Snow White levels, 2 Terra levels, and we're looking for at least 3 fleeting crystals. We got our 2 Snow White D-Link levels really quickly, but you'll see this grinding take a turn for the worst just as quickly, which is really the crappy thing about Ven's run. Because it starts out with a lot of really technical stuff, and then it gets into pure RNG nonsense. As you see, I'm just not getting the fleeting drops I need from these boots. Ideally, they drop 1 without much issue the vast majority of the time. And just roll around, kill things quickly with the yarn ball. Cute thing about the yarn ball, killing things with the yarn ball does not give you or your commands experience. Our commands don't need experience in this situation, and we obviously are at level 1, so we won't gain experience anyway, so we can just roll around at will. And this is a long segment of just praying to get good RNG. I also don't have D-Link here, so this was the worst segment in this entire run, was just getting RNG here. The RNG here was about as abysmal as you could hope for. The good news is the RNG was abysmal and the run overall was still good, so... And then, yeah, I ran out of D-Link here, and I'm trying to get D-Link while not killing the boots, but that wasn't enough D-Link from that guy, and it was a whole mess. This fight was a whole mess. You said, just This was probably the worst grinding segment I have ever seen in any Ven run I have ever done. It was that abysmal. It's just all sorts of not fun. The good news is I got the worst RNG you could ask for here, and like I said, the run overall is still good. I got 2 fleetings now. I need 1 more. Still need a Terra. 2 Terra D-Links as well. Again, D-Link levels are RNG, just like in Terra's run. Which is less of a big deal in this run, because you have more time to try to get them, but it still sucks. It's probably the worst grinding I've ever seen. There's not much really to say about it that hasn't already been said. Sorry. Weather's getting to me, but yeah, finally get the thing, grab the yarn, turn off Aqua's D-Link, because as good as it is in Terra, we don't use it here. And I didn't have D-Link, that's why I came back here. Need D-Link for this fight, and set Terra's finisher to level 1. The level 2 finisher is really slow and just not very good. The level 1 finisher is really fast and deals good damage and staggers things, so we like it. So attack him once. We were hoping that when he swipes at us, we'll have more health than what I have now, so I can intentionally take more damage and get into critical health, which would allow me to deal more damage to him with each individual hit because of Terra's passive. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, but that's okay. We can just Sonic Blade him with a Ven finisher every so often. And it is quite effective at what it does. So the worst world in Ven's run is a toss-up between that one and the next one. Early game for Ventus is just not a lot of fun, to be honest. So the first part of this world, we're just going to try to time our sliding dashes to go through enemies. Because, again, if you time them that way, you can cancel out of the animation with a dodge roll. And that's the quickest form of movement in this game, is to sliding dash forward, cancel that animation, and just dodge roll. I got pretty unlucky with the timing of the spawns of some of these guys, so it happens. We're just going to make our long way over here. Some of these environments will look familiar from Terra's runs. They'll look even more familiar with when Aqua shows up. Again, the gimmick of Birth by Sleep and the characters in general is these characters visit the same worlds, but they visit the same worlds at different times, or they visit different places within the same worlds. So, like, Terra's Enchanted Domain. Terra visits Enchanted Domain before the other characters, or Enchanted Dominion. It's Dominion, I think. I get them confused. It's one or the other. But Terra visits this world before Ven, and Terra also has much smaller access. Ven basically has access to the entire world, because you saw him go through, like, the parts of the world where Terra was ending. Speaking of Terra, Terra's D-Link, Sonic Blade, pretty good. Sonic Blade and Terra's finisher is like the most effective way to get through this while getting the experience we need. This fight's a real pain in the butt. Goons are really close to being the worst enemy in the game. I think jellyfish are slightly worse, but it's really close. Because Goons' attack animations are really, really quick, and on crit they can kill you in like 2 hits. And the thing is, you get hit by them once, you're usually dead, because their attack animation's quick and they hit back to back. This fight, if it goes well, doesn't look very scary. Where it becomes scary is Terra's level 2 passive ability is called Auto Block. And Terra basically makes you block, like he did right there, whenever it thinks incoming physical damage is coming. And it makes the then block it just go into a block, and that's more harmful than it is useful. Because usually when it makes you block, what you're really, really trying to dodge out of the way of something. So it's very common to die there from Terra auto-blocking something, and that just leaving you wide open to quickly be killed, when you could have easily avoided it if you were just allowed to dodge roll. So some movement over here to get Tornado Strike, we need that for money. Also get a Fleeting Crystal because I didn't get the maximum amount for... You see how quick and strong Grunt's attack animation is right there? But get the Fleeting Crystal because we need it for more fun stuff, essentially. Magic Haste is... we have a lot of Magic Haste in Ven, let's put it that way. So, do some movement, watch some cutscenes, the normal Kingdom Hearts fare. Do a menu. We're going to get Comeback Raid with our first Magic Haste, or Payback Raid, my bad. We're going to equip these sleeps you saw us get earlier, as well as the balloon letter we got from the chest in Castle of Dreams. And go into one of the worst boss fights in the entire game. This fight isn't hard, it's just a pain in the butt. So essentially we're going to go into Balloon Letter and go into our Snow White D-Link. I intentionally get hit here to get into critical health, because you'll see that my command meter right below Snow White's name actually goes up really, really quickly without me doing anything. That's because of Snow White's passive ability, which just lets you get to the finisher of her D-Link if you're at low HP. So we're intentionally sitting here close to death in order to get the finisher and have it for most of the fight. Because the most effective way to deal damage in this fight is Snow White's finisher while Maleficent is holding still for extended periods of time, which she always does when she does the sleep attack, which she did at the start of the fight here. And she's trying to DM here. If you shot lock fast enough, you can cancel it. But the sleep as well as the thunder attack, I don't think she does the thunder attack in this case. I'm being confused because she almost never does the thunder attack down here. She almost always does a thunder attack from up top. But whenever you cancel her DM, she can get really wonky and glitchy of where she uses her attacks. So, yeah, it's a weird fight, and it's pretty hard to do quickly. Because there's a lot of things she could do, and you need to be on your feet in case she tries to DM you. And there's a lot of stuff going on. But we're finally out of the bad part of Ven's run. Just the horrible part is finally behind us, so we can start having fun. So we're coming up on the easiest boss in the entire game. Like, Vanitas 1, this fight's really, really easy. Just press X, get hit, fight over. Good stuff. Vanitas 2 is hard. So, those 3 sleeps we bought in Castle of Dreams are for this fight. Essentially, you're trying to put Vanitas to sleep. If that first sleep hits, this fight gets really hard. If the first sleep hits, then you can usually just stunlock him in sleeps really easily. If it misses, like mine did, then it's really hard to get the cooldown of the commands going back in such a way that you can consistently loop him with it and make sure he doesn't break out. I did everything I could here and just about managed to do it. In the meantime, I used the sliding dash so I can get into Fever Pitch, and I'm not using this Fever Pitch finisher. It's slower than just putting Vanitas to sleep and letting Mickey do his thing. And when you finally get him in the proper loop, this is what it looks like. Just hit him a couple times till you get the Fever Pitch finisher, and then you can do a couple sliding dashes for the kill. It's a fun fight, but it's difficult assuming that first sleep misses. If the first sleep misses, then the fight's straightforward. Or I'm sorry, the first sleep hits, then the fight is pretty straightforward. Because then you can usually just time your sleeps, and it's very easy to just keep it up and keep them stun locked. When the first sleep misses, it can be tough to recover. So again, Cinderella D-Link, Enchanted Step, pretty good at just lifting you up places. I don't know why. Went over that in Terra's run. You'll notice there's a lot of interesting like movement tech and stuff that's carried over between runs, and you also notice common commands and common strategies going on. Terra's the most unique run in that regard, where I'm getting a Wellspring chest because I didn't get a Wellspring drop. Again, once more, just like with Terra. Terra's run is pretty unique in that it uses the most specific set of commands. Because since Terra doesn't really have access to powerful D-Links for its final fights, like Ven and Aqua do, Terra's final commands are really, really important. You need it to be those surges and the cure and the magnet with second chance and once more. Like, that's really necessary. In the background, I'm buying 5 magnets and 4 thunders and selling some useless stuff. But for Terra, those final commands are really, really important in order to do final fights effectively. For Ven and Aqua, those final commands don't matter that much, because you're mostly using strats that don't rely on the commands. You're relying on D-Links to do a lot of damage. Like, Peter Pan in particular is just really, really good. Aqua also relies on a command style called Spellweaver, which we will get to when we get to. But, But Terra's a unique run in that way, because it's very important. The routing is extremely specific to make sure you have everything you need to effectively deal with final fights. Some cool movement here with the Mickey D-Link. I wish you could use Mickey D-Link for movement in Terra, but Terra does not get it. Terra gets Maleficent D-Link instead, which is great, and by great I mean useless. Shout out to Sapphire for thinking Maleficent's not useless. Basically, the magnets and thunders we equipped for this run, we were grinding them to level up here so we can meld them and get a bunch of stronger Magneras and Thundaras for Ven's Trinity Armor fight. I'm not saying the commands don't matter in Ven's and Aqua runs, because they are important, again, to get what you need. But since what you need isn't specifically focused on commands, the routing is just very different in general. And you're going to see while in Terra's run, where by the end of it, I was relying entirely on Terra's own abilities we had built up to that point. In Aqua and Ven's runs, we're going to be relying a lot on D-Links and a lot on command styles. So, back at Trinity Armor, about the midpoint of Ven's run, Ven has my least favorite Trinity Armor fight. I am not a fan of this strat. This strat, you know all those commands we just spent time melding? Yeah, we're just going to spam them. After a while, he'll fly over. He charges at each character once, so when he charges at Aqua, we need to block or we die. And, we just start spamming these commands. The Thunderbolt finisher isn't that useful in this case. This laser is still an insta-kill, and unlike in Terra's run, where you can kill him before he does this, and Aqua's run, where you don't even see the insta-laser until there's only one body part left, in Ven's you have to deal with it. And the insta-laser has a lingering invisible hitbox, where if you go somewhere the laser passed through, it can murder you. This game sometimes. And, again, like Terra, we go in the middle while he does the insta-laser again. And we're really just spamming our commands and praying we can dodge in time to, not worry about stuff. And, Aqua and Terra didn't do a lot of damage. Ideally, Aqua and Terra will do enough damage there that shot lock will kill, but it's fine. I'm just not a fan of that strat overall. Now we're going to go do some more movement stuff. Just dash around, roll a bit. We're heading back to where we first landed in the world. Again, coolest thing, D-Link pulls you down to the ground. It's really neat movement tech, used in all 3 runs at different points. And, yeah, we're just going to dash around, go into a force fight where, the force fights for Ven, for here on out, are a lot of magnets and thunders. And basically, doing these fights effectively depends on you knowing where the enemies will spawn. Like, I know the enemies will spawn horizontally this way. I screwed the magnet up a bit, but if I hadn't, I could have just caught the 2 guys in the magnet like this and be able to kill them really quickly and move on to the next thing. And that's really the efficient way to do force fights in Ven, is just know where your enemies are going to spawn so you can quickly dispatch them with the incredibly powerful magnet thunders. And again, in Ven, we were grinding for those fleeting crystals. In Terra, you didn't see me grinding for it. I wanted it. The more attack haste, the better. But in Ven, we specifically go out and grind for it so that we have enough magic haste that we can just spam, 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 spam in the middle of those force fights. It makes those force fights go much quicker. In Terra, that would be nice, but it's really not necessary. Just for the simple fact that the only time you really have to worry about that spamming with Terra, you have Aqua's D-Link. And you can switch back and forth with Aqua's D-Link and basically do what Ven does already. Since Ven doesn't use Aqua's D-Link, that means that you actually need those magic hastes to get the same job done. So again, it's neat seeing these interactions with like how the runs are routed differently when they're shown like back to back to back. Because there's a lot of similarities, and there's also a lot of differences. Disney Town has some of the coolest movement tech in the game. It's also very easy to screw up. You go over here to this flood, hit this flood twice, dodge roll, jump, magnet, Cinderella's D-Link, Enchanted Step, pull you up to this place you are not supposed to be until well after you actually beat the main campaign. You get Super Glide, and Super Glide's the movement we're going to use from now on. Get a D-Link level because swag. I wish I got that in my grinding segment, but that's BBS for you. And now we're just going to make ice cream. It's the best rhythm game in the world. And by best rhythm game in the world, I mean it's so good that it's actually really difficult to do the rhythm correctly. Like, the beat is not actually set in time to the music. It's really awkward. When I first started running this game, I legitimately had to practice this, and I'm not afraid to say that. You just need 1,050 points in order to progress with the story. And as long as you don't hit... And you need to basically not fail and also get a couple excellents in there. If you get all goods, you will fail. That's how I failed most of mine whenever I was starting out. So, really need to figure out that excellent timing. So I should mention this is the minigame part of the run. Again, 3 cutscenes here because all stories, any percent, there's only 1. That's just based on how the saves work, because in an any percent speed run, you actually set up your saves in such a way to where only 1 will play, because you set them up where only 1 save file is complete, and it's a different character. Because the extra cutscenes play when either there's only 1 character done, or there's no characters done, or there are 2 characters done and you're on the last one. In all stories, since you set up your saves to where there's a completed Terra and a completed Ven file in order to have your Xehanort reports to get final and secret episode, since that is the case, I lost my train of thought. I knew I was going to die, which is why I'm not explaining the fight. Since those 2 files, completed files, are set up already, that means the game reads you have 2 completed files, and it plays the 2 extra cutscenes for when that's the case, and it's your final character in Disney Town. There are a couple cutscenes that are just contextual to whatever stories you've completed like that. In terms of this fight, it's a lot of, again, Magnet Thunder, know where your enemies spawn. You know how I said goons might be the worst enemy in the game? The reason I'm tentative to say they are is because of these little buggers. Jellyfish are terrible. Jellyfish attack really, really quickly, and when they attack, they literally just lash onto you. They hit you once, and then they hit you 3 times immediately afterwards, and you cannot escape it if they hit you once. And it's awful. I hate jellyfish so much. And that force fight in particular, they can be incredibly mean and just kill you before you're able to get a magnet off. And it sucks. Did I mention this is the minigame part of the game? Because it's the minigame part of the game. These are urns. You have to do urns twice because BBS. I don't know. First time, you just need a score of 15 to progress. Second time, you need to have a higher score than Hercules. Hercules is pretty easy to beat, but I made it look hard. Best way to destroy the urns is to hit the barrels. either the explosive barrels, which will just instantly kill the things, or the wooden barrels, so you can roll around them like the yarn in Castle of Dreams. And, it's literally 2 minutes of this. There's nothing to say about it. Like, in the context of a marathon, read 1,000,000 donations. Like, every character has a minigame like this. At least one. Ven has a couple of them, between Ice Cream and this. Terra's is Kingdom Carts, and Aqua's is Fruit Ball. And all of them just have that one minigame where it's like, okay, if we're in a marathon, you're just going to read a bunch of donations. And if you're not, I'm just going to read chat. That's all I do, is I have chat ask me stupid questions and stuff to pass time. Because there's literally nothing else. I roll around. Hercules doesn't have a chance to beat me. And I just laugh and feel miserable about how far behind I am for my splits, but don't worry about that. All stories in general is a very hard category to optimize, just because of how BBS speedrunning works. Because in general, BBS speedrunning is split between these 3 characters, and each of these 3 characters has their own people who run them, and their own strats, and are just wildly disconnected runs. So and like all of them have their own RNG elements, and their own strats you have to learn, and their own things you have to react to and be able to coordinate with. So doing them all back to back to back to back as one player is actually incredibly difficult. And again, there's RNG in each individual run, so one run can go really well, then you can get screwed over by, say, Ven grinding, or get screwed over by, say, Gotcha Take That in Aqua. Trust me, we'll get there. And then suddenly all of the optimization you did at the start of the run, when you ran Terra, in my case, doesn't matter anymore. I goofed and didn't buy a balloon ladder. It's fine. You buy an Ignite, Confuse, Block, and an Esnua. Block and Esnua, same reason for Terra. You want a level 1 block to get the renewal block, because weird things can happen if you don't. So it's just good to get that here. And we go in here, we build a Thundara, we equip that, equip the Ignite and Confuse we just bought, as well as equipping all the movement abilities we got from earlier. So the Super Glide we got goes in here, so this Counter Rush we got in Radiant Garden, and the renewal block we just made. This strat will look very familiar to you. Lots of jellyfish. What do you think we do with them? We magnet them. Magnet's pretty good. The weird caveat with this fight is you do not want to dodge roll, because if you press square, you could get stuck in this reaction command of Hercules, and it's long, and it does nothing, and you want nothing to do with it, and I wish Hercules would just leave me alone. It'd be nice if you just left me alone. Never leave me alone. Okay, we're coming up on one of my least favorite fights in the game. This fight's dumb. For whatever reason, they decided it would be a good idea to have a minigame boss with completely different controls than what you've been using the entire game. And since this is on critical, this guy can straight up murder you if you aren't careful, and like it's very, very easy to die. It's awful. I hate it. All we can really do is charge him, and these hits are really, really hard to actually line up. as you can see by me just whiffing a million of them. It's not a given at all to actually hit any of these charges. And again, it's on crit, so you die in 1 or 2 hits, depending on what attack he does. And, like, it's a pain in the butt, and I hate it. And that's really all there is to it. This is an unskippable thing, yay! BBS has a lot of weird things that happen to be unskippable. Why are they unskippable? I don't know. I don't know. Like, this is, again, why it's hard to run these characters back to back to back, is because you are having to keep track of the weird ticks where it's like, wait, can I skip this scene? Like, where are the unskippable animations in this run? Because all of them have, like, weird unskippable animations at certain points you have to remember. And all of them control just a little bit differently. And all of them have just enough overlap in their runs that you can easily confuse what you're doing in one with what you should be doing in a different one. And, yeah, if you're running all stories alone, it can be hard to keep track of all those things at once. As I just leave one guy alive. Again, the key to fast force fights in Ven is knowing where things spawn and, like, killing things efficiently. I'm not good at it. I don't claim to be good at it. There's multiple reasons that this submission is focused on a relay format. Part of that is what I'm talking about with how hard it is to optimize, like, this run and how hard it is to run them back to back to back. If you're splitting up responsibilities, that becomes a heck of a lot easier. And also, if you're splitting up responsibilities, that means that the crappy force fights like that, and me not knowing what to do and grinding goes bad, you don't have to deal with, because Ven is not the character I would be manning in this case. So, because BBS is a very reactionary speedrun. Being good at BBS is all about knowing every situation and being able to react to whatever crap the game decides to throw at you at a given moment. So, this is Metamorphosis. This is our revenge for how awful and janky the previous fight is. And by our revenge, I mean we're going to hide. This strat, to my knowledge, has not changed since the PSP days. We just hide behind a pillar, and we cast Ignite. And that's fun. Hopefully Stitch shoots at him. He usually doesn't. It really is what it is. If he sees you, he charges at you, and it's not fun. It's very scary. You don't want him charging at you. It's quite the terrifying experience. And, well, mini-games are done, so that's good. As we go into Neverland, which has one really BS strat and one really cool strat. So going into Neverland, there's first of all going to be a bunch of cutscenes. There's like 4 of them, I think, when you land. It's obnoxious. Oh, there's only 3. Okay. Ordinarily, you kill these guys for command experience. Since I died, like, when you die, the commands keep their experience. You also keep, like, the money and items you get, as long as you hit retry, when you die. So, like, my commands are over-leveled right now because of that. So, now we're going to go into here. Some of this will look familiar to you. Take the Confuse, combine it with the Zero Gravita, use a Pulsing Crystal, we get our second chance. take the Magneras, use our Wellspring, we get once more. Equip the Magnera with the Blackout we just got. A couple Sliding Dashes for movement, a Balloon Letter. Again, the commands for Ven really don't matter. That's the last menu in the game. Like, we don't care about most of those commands. The Magnet and Thunder are here for this fight, and the Blackout's here for the skill, and that's all I really care about. So this strat sucks. Go into Snow White and use Bashful. Bashful is actually an ability called Warp, which has a certain percentage chance that I don't know, chance to just make enemies disappear. You don't get experience for it, and your commands don't get experience for it, but again, our commands don't matter, and we're at level 1. But, it's an awful strat because RNG. You're looking at why I hate this strat. You are just looking at why I do not like this strat in the face. It's not enjoyable for me, personally. It's fun when it goes well. Guess that's true of most things. I'm grabbing a Balloon Letter chest here just because I forgot to buy the Balloon Letter in the previous menu. Happens. Also, I'm going to kill these guys just to get D-Link back. If the Snow White strats go well, then your D-Link is full at the end of it. That fight did not go well by any definition of the word well. So you can do a nice little sliding dash squeeze in between those rocks. And that was the cool strat of this world. Hook. What we're going to do with Hook is we're going to attack at the start. The attack will force him to jump back and forth like this. We dodge roll while he's doing that. Hit him. Eventually he'll fall into the water. We ignite. Queue up Mickey D-Link. Ignite again. Mickey D-Link. Hit. Sliding dash. Hit. Sliding dash. Run away. Get hit a couple times. That'll put us in light charge. And watch his HP bar. It speaks for itself. Like I said, EXP 0, each individual hit getting boosted. That's a lot of hits consistently hitting Hook like that. We literally just got Peter Pan's D-Link right now where we used that, but Mickey is also pretty good. Only really useful for that fight, because normally, most fights, it's hard to make hold still to do stuff like that. It's also hard to, like, actually get the command's finisher when they don't hold still. So this is the cutscene portion. That's what, one cutscene, 2 cutscenes? There's a lot more. I think there's like 11 cutscenes we're skipping back to back throughout all of this. So like that's 1, 2, 3. Visit the world, more cutscenes. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then a couple more when we enter Keyblade Graveyard. It's a lot of fun. 10. Same tornado movement as Terra, except we have Super Glide now, which is neat. It's important my commands are on Balloon Letter at the start of this next fight, going into, because where your command deck is set up carries over from fight to fight when your fights are in a sequence. For example, even when like you finish one world and your command deck will start at whatever command you used last going into the next world if you're doing it all in one session. If you save your game in between, then it'll go to your default one spot. But normally those commands carry over, like where you're actually on. So it's very important we stay on Balloon Letter for this fight, because we need to pop Balloon Letter immediately for the fight right after this one. So Vanitas 2 is straightforward enough. You shotlock him at the start to knock him off of this Keyblade attack. He'll jump around, probably hit me a bit. It's fine, D-Links heal you. Say hi to Pan. You have already been acquainted with him, but now you get to see all of the abuse. So you're waiting for Vanitas now to jump straight up in the air. You have to be very careful, because if you can attack him when he jumps back instead, and then you do nothing and you're sad. But when he jumps straight up in the air, you can do that. Okay, now to final Vanitas, otherwise known as Vanitas 3, Electric Boogaloo. And at the start of this fight, we're going to immediately pop our Balloon Letter. Balloon Letter gives you back your D-Link charge, which we just used up. So we're going to hit, use Pan, it cures us, hit him a few times. The block and counter rush is really effective at getting us our Peter Pan finisher quickly. Wait for him to do this attack, Sword Bill, and now we're in minigame to Winland. This minigame actually sucks. I personally die to it a lot because I am bad at Ven. But basically you have to wait till Vanitas attacks you, and then when you shot lock at the same time Vanitas attacks, you'll go into that Dragon Ball Z mash X to win thing. You have to do that 4 times, then you'll get an attack called Last Word, which is the technically the command finisher of the Vanitas command. That's how this whole thing is set up. And Last Word gets in super epic slow-mo finish. And you are officially done with Ven's story. Soft reset out of there. We have one more to go. And then we have all the extra bonus game content. So again, I mentioned this earlier, but this is when it becomes important. Terra and Ven's runs in the context of all stories are exactly the same as their any % run. The strats you saw me doing and the chests you see me picking up and everything is synonymous with what you will see with any normal any % run of those two categories. Aqua is different because part of all stories is the secret and final episodes. And for Aqua, all of Aqua's commands you get during this run will carry over into the secret and final episodes. So we actually care a lot about picking up some extra chests and getting some extra abilities and commands. So just so that we will be set up to do final and secret episode as quick as possible. That will come back once we hit Radiant Garden. For the first little bit, it's the same as an any % run. These orbs are not very good. I don't like Aqua orbs a lot. Because Ven has a really good shot lock to deal with the orbs. Terra has good physical attacks and commands. Aqua's commands kinda suck. Her physical hits are non-existent. And she has the worst shot lock in the game. Like, Bubble Blast does literally 0 damage to anything, even orbs. So, to me personally, that makes her orbs hard to deal with, and I'm just not a fan. I'm not very good at it. So, Castle of Dreams, only world you can start at. Going to go over here and get a fleeting crystal chest. You must be sick and tired of all these fleetings. Aqua's fleetings are concentrated on the magic haste side of things. That will allow us to use, again, the magic attacks a lot quicker than we would be able to do otherwise. Go up to stair type. Eggs. Magically get a map. I don't know why. We'll roll with it. Do some nice little movement over here to get another chest. Using the D-Link to actually get access to a sliding dash as well as pull ourselves down. This is the one time we use Terra in the entire run, so say bye to Terra. We're done with Terra for the rest of the game. Feels bad, man. Aqua's the best character in Terra's run, and Terra just makes a cameo in Aqua's run. Feels bad. Get the hide potion just for the sell right away. The quick blitz gets you down just slightly quicker. It's a neat little movement thing. And cartwheels, dodge rolling, and dashing are the fastest way to travel for all of these characters. Whether you mash it or time, it's up to debate depending on who you ask. Sell the quick blitz and also the barrier and hide potion we just got. Get a couple blizzards to sleep in a sliding dash. Then we're going to equip those and equip EXP 0. That should sound familiar, right? We like our EXP 0. EXP 0 is just, it's so good. And on Aqua, it is even more broken than for the other characters. Because these command styles going on, each character has one command style that is like their default. Aqua's default command style is called Spellweaver, which we just got. And Spellweaver is overpowered. Just watch. Watch how quickly everything is torn apart. You just get Spellweaver by using magic attacks. That's all you have to do. And, yeah, Spellweaver, you move really quick in a circle. Each rotation does an individual hit, and again, each individual hit amplified by EXP 0, and you get something really overpowered. Aqua's run is going to be a lot of that, so I hope you like Spellweaver. So use our commands, get into Spellweaver. Get hit here, but that's okay. We're just trying to use the finisher to knock him over. The finisher can loop him down until we can get into the Spellweaver finisher, and then Spellweaver is still very overpowered. So, next two worlds, Enchanted Domain and Dominion. I always get that confused. And Dwarf Woodlands. We're going to Dwarf Woodlands first because of distance and money. We're getting a couple commands in this world that will sell in the next one. So, go over here. Here's one of the commands I'm talking about. It's a poison. We actually don't sell that one, never mind. But poison is useful for a couple of fights. As we make our way to some interesting use of Spellweaver. So we're going to hit this little guy in a row so that this blizzard can hit through multiple enemies to get into Spellweaver quickly. And what we're going to use with the Spellweaver finisher is spawn these little guys over here. These little guys are dropping ice cream ingredients, actually. Each time you hit them, they drop an ice cream ingredient. Ice cream is overpowered. And by overpowered, I mean we love ice cream. Ice cream, you scream. We're going to spam a lot of ice cream. You will see plenty of that, and we will be back to that later. Just remember that we did that. We do the same sequence break that we did with Terra, just with jumping on that wall and sliding dash, instead of getting that years from now when we have high jump. I hope you like the beeping, because that's not going away. We equipped the Fission Fire as well as the poison we just got. And we're on our way to Magic Mirror. You remember Magic Mirror from Terra, right? You remember how that strat's really hard and has RNG and blah de blah de blah. Yeah, this fight's the opposite of that. In just about every way. So you're just going to dodge forward and put this guy to sleep, because yes, you can do that. Couple blizzards, hit him 2 times, poison. Get into Spellweaver, going to hit him 3 times, Vision Fire, put him back to sleep, hit him with a couple blizzards, hit him with a poison, sliding dash, Spellweaver, and watch him die. The combos for that strat are incredibly specific, and it can be very, very easy to screw that strat up. Now you have a few cutscenes before one of the harder worlds in Aqua's run. You'll notice a theme that Enchanted Dominion's not an easy world. Even in Terra, it's not easy just because RNG. Most of my Terra runs, when I'm aiming for PB, die to Enchanted Dominion just because RNG. Dealing drop RNG is a lot of fun. So, go into Deja Vu Land, get sent in a new area none of the other characters have access to, talk to the Moogle, sell the Sleep, the Fission Fire, and a level 3 Blizzard. Yes, that's kind of important. And we're going to get 4 Magnets and 3 Thunders. Equip those in our command deck as you do, as well as a sliding dash. And now we're going to do some more sequence breaking nonsense. Go into Terra, walk onto this guy as you fall down, attack to get some height, sliding dash over to this thing, gets a ice barrage. You are definitely not supposed to have that right now. It's a very strong command. We will be using it later. For now, more goons. Goons still suck. I hate goons. But Aqua has Magnet. That make goons slightly better, because we can just Magnet them, roll around, Magnet them some more, still get hit, but, you know, that's goons. What do you want from me? Goons are just bad. Wait for Magnet to get off cooldown. Continue to just Magnet some guys. One got left behind, but that's okay. Ideally, not use Spellweaver in that fight, because Spellweaver is a long animation, and you don't usually need it. So, the silly, like, what I was saying, each character has, like, a silly, unskippable thing you have to kind of just know. This is one of Aqua's. Just, you can't skip this. Why? I don't know. It doesn't like you skipping the information tab stuff. So we're going to go to the left here. We have some goods to kill before you can go where you want to go. Kill these guys. Hopefully kill these guys that are just standing around. Kill these guys throwing rocks at us up here. Not technically required to continue in the fight, but they're a pain in the butt. We don't like them. Kill those goons, get Spellweaver, blow some crap up, because blowing crap up is always a lot of fun in any video game. Get over here. Dude, don't even have to jump up there. We can just sliding dash up to the guy. Get ourselves a Wellspring Crystal. Bonus points if you know what that's for. And we're going to do some more Magnet Thunders. Just try to make sure these goons cannot attack us, because as previously stated, they suck. They are a pain. Oh, excuse me. They are a pain in the butt. So, come over here. We're going to grab a Pulsing Crystal up over here, just for safety. Let's pull this last Weaver. This isn't Dota 2. Pull this last lever, and we are out of here. As my drowsiness just continues to bleed through this commentary, unfortunately. What can you do? I'm trying. So we're going to kill a couple waves down here, just so we have D-Link. D-Link, not actually going to be used for combat here. You'll see it in a second. At least not combat in the traditional way. Do some nice little movement. These guys spawn in the same place as Ven, believe it or not. Go into Snow White movement. Use Grumpy to try to get a couple fleetings out of these guys. Ideally, we want 2 fleetings out of them, and this run we got it. And just be on our merry way. Again, Grumpy, Treasure Raid. Typically gets them to drop stuff, which is good. We have some more Magneras and Thundaras that need to be melded together. Get ourselves some Magic Haste, and we're going to equip basically everything. All those Magneras and Thundaras and 1 Thunder along with some Blizzards. Maleficent's a tough fight. It's kind of inconsistent. At least the strat I do is kind of inconsistent. And basically you go behind here, target her head, Blizzard her, start spamming it. It's hiding in the back over here just so that her stomping doesn't affect us. All of the stomping could easily kill us otherwise. So I'll start breathing fire if that also doesn't affect us when we're back here. So we're also trying to be sure we're close enough to her to where we're getting the most effective damage, but far enough away that when we step forward with our Blizzard, we don't hit her fire breathing or stomping, which is very possible to do. And that's an example of a very strong fight. And that is Enchanted Dominion, and we are off to Radiant Garden once again. The route I do for Maleficent means we do not have to do another menu here. Otherwise, there's an extra menu over here. That's why it saves time. More Cinderella Enchanted Step movement. But we want to kill these guys because command experience. As alluded to earlier, if we don't, our commands won't be the level we need them to be to meld stuff, so we're just going out of our way to kill some things. Now we're going to go say hi to Mickey Mouse. Mickey is a pain in the butt, because if Mickey, or any other companion for that matter, steals your kills, your commands do not get the experience for it. So, like, the worst thing that could happen in this fight is Mickey stealing a lot of kills, and your Thunders not leveling up to level 2 like you need them to in order to meld more Thundaras. But otherwise, you're Magneting, you're Thundering, you're Spellweavering, it's a pretty... With Aqua especially, you get into this neat little groove of, like, building up your Spellweaver and knowing where everything spawns, the Magnet Thunder it, and, like, knowing when to use the Spellweaver. And it becomes a lot of fun of getting to know all those timings. So now we have another Thundara we're going to equip. We also picked up a Mind Square chest. We're going to equip that. And that Ice Barrage I was alluding to earlier gets equipped here as well. And now we go get to fight Trinity Armor. Aqua, in my opinion, has the most fun Trinity fight. Terra's Trinity fight is also really good, but it's a lot more technical than Aqua's. Aqua's is just a lot of fun in how you really do have very strong commands for this point in the game, so you blow crap up. It's fun to watch. So, dodge forward and Ice Barrage. Ice Barrage is helpful because it does a lot of damage, and it almost immediately gets you into Spellweaver. Couple magnets, Mind Square, roll back, block, Spellweaver. Again, Ice Barrage, really useful in just getting into that initial Spellweaver. It's very nice. And this is why this fight is fun. Just Spellweaver is really, really good. And at this point in the run, it's a lot of fun to learn like the combos you need to do in order to effectively get Spellweaver. Because like getting into Spellweaver is half the battle. By half, I mean the majority of it. Because once you're there, you're good. And that's Trinity Armor. It's much faster and much less painful than both Terra and Ven. I'm a fan. So, you remember when I was alluding to the fact that in all stories, Aqua's run is different than a normal 90% run? Well, you're about to see that right now. Normally, we get over here, we turn right, we keep on going. Nope, we have a chest over here we want. It's Thundara. We're going to get a lot more Thunders than even Ven did. Not for Aqua's segment specifically, but specifically for Final and Secret Episode. Because again, all of your commands and everything carry over into that. For the same purpose, we're going to make our way over here and horribly butcher some what would otherwise be cool movement. Just horribly butchered that in order to get Counterblast. Counterblast in an any percent Aqua run is completely useless. Like, it's really far out of the way, and it doesn't accomplish much. But, again, Final Episode, it's useful as I screw up some more movement. We're not quite done with all story-specific stuff in this world yet, because as soon as we skip this cutscene, we're going to go into Merlin's house, and we are going to grab this Xehanort report. As I previously stated, Terra and Ven already have set up save files to where they have all of their Xehanort reports. Aqua, since you're making a new saved file of a completed save that's going to get carried over after this run, you go out of your way to get that report in the run. And it's also nearby, so that helps. This is Vanitas, the first. You can just magnet him. It's great. The only weird thing in this fight is you want to use the Ice Barrage to get into Spellweaver initially. But you also do not want to use Ice Barrage again until you have the Spellweaver finisher. Because if you do, it will put you into the Blade Charge command style. And the Blade Charge command style is not nearly as good as Spellweaver. Because Spellweaver can just do this. So it's important you do not use that Ice Barrage until the Spellweaver finisher is already charged up. And because when a command finisher is already charged up, then you cannot go into any command that would be activated by using different types of commands when you're already in a command style. Which sounds confusing, it's really not. It's just like if you are in, say, Spellweaver and you use Ice Barrage, that gets you into a new command style called Blade Charge instead of getting you the Spellweaver finisher. That's all that means. This is actually my favorite fight in Aqua's run. I love this fight. I can't explain to you why. It's really satisfying to just roll over here, Magnet, Thunder, and just Spellweaver. I don't know why I love this so much. It's so simple. But maybe that is why. Enjoy the simple things in life. So, a few cutscenes. We're coming up on the worst part of Aqua's run by a pretty hefty margin. Aqua has some... Boy, I need some sleep. Aqua has some crappy parts. This takes the cake. It is a mini game that the KH community admirably, I suppose, in admiration, nicknames Gotcha Take That. This is why. And Gotcha Take That is pretty bad. Essentially, we sit in a corner, we spam X, and we pray. Because what you have to understand is these guys deal a crap load of damage on crit. It seems like any minigame that does any amount of damage, Square Enix just did not balance around the hardest difficulty. They seem to have not even considered it. And it leads to, if you go, like, in the middle of the arena, you can just be blindsided by these guys and just instantly die. That's why we try to keep our back to a wall until there's not a lot of them left. Just so we won't be blindsided, and hopefully we can see when they're going to charge at us and kill them before they do that. But it's just bad because even if you don't die, you run into problems like this where things just don't get hit and you waste a bunch of time. It's a big RNG split and it's not fun. You can't really practice it. It just kind of is what it is. So this fight, we need to hit the teleporter in the middle of the room. But to do that, we need to kill some guys. Spellweaver is useful for that. Just get into it. Kill some dudes, as you do. What else are you going to use Spellweaver for? And, go into the Deep Space Force fight. We have a lot of force fights coming up back to back to back, so get used to Magnet Thunder Spellweaver. Just gather thunder, gather thunder. Oh my... Man, I need to sleep, apparently. Oh, well. Oh, well, oh, well. So, skip a couple cutscenes. This world's not over yet, but we're going to teleport out now. I'll get to why in a minute, because we're actually going to teleport back in. go to the turbo transporter room and go back to this room so that we can get more ice cream ingredients. You remember those from all the way back in Dwarf Woodlands? Yeah, they're back. The reason we leave this world before it's completed is because if we go to this room right now, it's 100% consistent those guys will be there, and we can get ice cream ingredients. If we complete the world and try to go back, it becomes a percentage chance, and that's not a lot of fun. And since we have to teleport in and out, it makes sense just to go to OC while we're at it. This is a very cool force fight when things go well, and you know exactly where things are going to spawn, and you can magnet before they even spawn, and it's some neat stuff. So, once of that, get back in the middle, and then just Spellweaver everything. I really didn't need to do an extra magnet there, but yeah, safety. Oh, by the way, we're not done with ice cream ingredients yet. I hope you're aware of that. We're about to go get some more. I know you're wondering, Pestilus, what is this ice cream ingredients? And what does this have to do with Ven? I thought we left ice cream behind. It has nothing to do with Ven, except for Huey, Dewey, and Louie again. But we will get to these ice cream ingredients in not very long. First we have to go pick up this Cura chest, just to make sure we have enough money for this All Stories specific menu. This menu coming up after 10 rounds is different for All Stories versus an any % run. So these 10 rounds are very similar to Terra's. They aren't quite the same. Again, going to use Ice Rods to make sure we get into Spellweaver easily. Mind Square kills this dude quick. That dude in particular. Why? I don't know. It's not quite the same, but like the first few waves are the same, so. And again, Magnet Thunder's our best friend. Round, it's 6 or 7, I guess we'll find out in a minute, is the one scary round in, this. Yeah, it's round 6. This round's actually scary, because it's possible to not get to those mandrakes in time before they attack you, and if those things hit, you are dead. So that's why I just jump for safety, so those mandrake attacks are guaranteed not to hit. You know, safety first. And then the rest of this is pretty straightforward. We just save our Spellweaver until the last wave with the jellyfish, and use Spellweaver for iframes as much as anything else. Because as I've said multiple times, jellyfish are just the worst. And you can see them trying to murder me while I go and Spellweaver at that. So we're going to spawn in front of the building again. We're going to go back in, talk to this Moogle. We have a bunch of extra commands we don't need we're going to sell. Like these blizzards, we don't need them. Mind Square, gone. Ice Barrage, gone. Like the Curas that we got in the chest, obviously gone. And then we buy a fire in Esnua. Trying to remember with this. 3 ignites, 1 bind. A barrier, as well as a cure, and I believe a sliding dash. Actually, I think I didn't get a sliding dash because I already had one. I think I'm supposed to get a second cure in that menu, but I forgot. That'll come back later. So ice cream, what was that about? Well, you give these ice cream ingredients to these guys, and the ice cream ingredients we got will get us a bunch of what are called Fabra Cadabras. as more melding to do. Renewal block for Aqua is called Renewal Barrier, and we can use it to get second chance. It's pretty good. And again, Magnet, Wellspring. It's like the most helpful once more combination. But yeah, those ice creams got us this Fabra Cadabras. You're wondering, Fabra Cadabra, what the heck is that? Well, it's an item. And it's an item that when you use it, it fills up your command gauge, essentially. So when you use it, it instantly fills up your command gauge with whatever your default command style would be, or whatever, or if you use a random, I believe if you use like a fire and then pop the Fabricadabra, it could also get you like Firestorm or something like that. But for our case, the Fabricadabra fills up the command gauge immediately, and immediately puts us into Spellweaver. So all the all of the intricate combos we were doing with Aqua to get into Spellweaver, we don't have to do that anymore. Couple Fabricadabras, and we're in there. We can just start spamming it for the rest of the run. This is Fruit Ball. Just, you press triangle to lob them up in the air, press X to spike them. It's very easy to beat the boots. This is a bathroom break, and I'm definitely going to take advantage of that right now, even in this post-commentary. Very good donation time. So, yeah, I'm going to take a bathroom break. It's a good bathroom break. It's very good at that job. There's really nothing to say about Fruit Ball. It's a dumb 3-minute long unskippable minigame. What more is there to say about it? So now we can go finish up, again, 3 cutscenes because all stories, and now we can go finish up the worlds that we haven't finished up yet, because we just upped and left them, because Fabricadabras are that good. Go to the control room. That's just command panel, fly up. You know, Deja Vu, anyone? And now we're going to go fight the Space Whale. The strat for the Space Whale is to use poison and the Fabricadabras in order to get into Spellweaver. So the poison deals a bit of damage to him over time, while the Spellweaver just bursts him down. And if everything goes the way it is supposed to, which was a little awkward because Stitch decided he really wanted to do a reaction command with me. But if everything goes the way it's supposed to, 2 Spell Weavers should kill. Stitch means well, I think. Maybe. Does he mean well? You know, details. This strat's going to look pretty similar to the last strat. You know how intricate our strats had to be for Zac when we were playing as Terra? Yeah, no, don't worry about that. All of that complexity is, don't worry about it. We can just ignite him, Spellweaver him, it's fine. He actually kind of trolled me by just hopping away for no real reason. What a little twerp. Okay, this is one of the most crappy fights in the entire run. So you have to defeat both the Ice Colossus and Hades. And the best way to do that is to try to Spellweaver both at once. But it's random if he'll let you do that, basically. If he gives you this RNG, that's good RNG, because you can very easily get 2 Spellweavers off that hit both of them, at least a little bit. I get some bad RNG with him going immune. Hades can just turn red and go immune whenever he wants. The fact that he did that before I could get the second Spellweaver off is pretty disappointing. And sometimes he can go in a different pattern that's like a lot harder to deal with and a lot harder to hit multiple times. And it's not the most fun fight in the universe. If you're trying to go fast, there's a lot of things that can go wrong. Let's just put it that way. Alright, last Disney World of the entire run. It is Aqua Neverland. And the thing about Aqua Neverland is we're mostly walking. Or, as it were, doing incredible acts of athleticism by cartwheeling with one arm, but being our main method of transportation. That is really, really impressive, Aqua. I wish I could do that. So we're going to run along. The game introduces a little gimmick where you hit these things, they send you straight upwards. You know, pixie dust, it's flying, but with PSP hardware limitations, like whatever. And I'm just going to roll over here, and oh no, I'm falling, why? That's completely, that's a Thundaga. We get that specifically for the secret episode. And then we do a quick menu here where we make sure we have 3 ignites equipped as well as a cure. If I'm not mistaken, that's the last menu in Aqua's segment. It's not the last time we'll menu with Aqua, but we'll get there. Get double flight, that's useful later, not now. Say hi to Vanitas, he's back again. Remember the magnet crap we did with him? Yeah, that doesn't work anymore. So what does work is we get into Spellweaver, and then we start igniting him. And the goal here is to stay close enough to him that you cause him to do physical hits and just swing wildly at you, and to hit him with ignites in between these hits where he's swinging just wildly at you. That's the general goal. And we're just trying to make sure he does this and doesn't do any crazy attacks that waste too much time until he does his DM where he just lights up and grunts a lot, and then when he does that we can spell Weaver and this one, and then we can just spell Weaver and he just instantly dies. If you spell Weaver before that, he's going to jump around a lot and it's not going to do all that much damage. So, a bunch of cutscenes, story, blah blah blah, losing all our friends, it's fine. This game has Disney characters in it, that means it's happy, right? Yensid's Tower, or Mysterious Tower, or whatever, we have a couple more chests we're going to grab for all stories. We're going to go to where the mysterious train is in KH2 to get another Magnica. That's useful, and we're also going to grab a Mega Elixir over here and then head on in. That's those are the last two commands that we go out of our way to get for the All Stories run. From here, final fights are the same as in any % run. All the crap we have equipped ourselves for, you will see what that's been building up to soon enough. Until then, we have tornadoes to just cartwheel past. The one funny thing about these tornadoes is that when the HD remaster for this game was originally released, 60 FPS screwed these tornadoes up. It made them go just so fast you could not possibly avoid them. And yeah, that was a thing. They patched it, thank God. We're just going to cartwheel into our final fights. Ahoo, 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 ahoo. This is Breg. Notice he has one less eye than the last time we saw him. And this should look familiar to you guys. One of the weird quirks in this game, if you jump, as Aqua specifically, you jump and block, your command gauge fills up a lot quicker than if you just block and reflect damage. Just in general, attacks in the air fill up your command meter a lot quicker than on the ground. That's why in Terra's run, if you can remember that, I was jumping and attacking to build up Peter Pan's command gauge. Say hi to Final Ven Eatus, if you would like. I just call him Venitas. Yeah, this guy sucks. So what he does at the beginning is random. The safest strat is just to block. That's what I did. Basically, you're waiting for him to do this attack, and you're trying to Spellweaver it. But you can just kind of die. Like, I just kinda died there. Even though I was mashing out block. I don't have anything else to say about that. I'm just bitter. But again, you get Spellweaver. You want to do this reaction command with Mickey just because he won't stop trying otherwise. Also, Vanitas will almost always do this attack you want him to do after you do that anyway. So it works. And ideally, you're just using Renewal Barrier to get back to full health whenever you can. The Ignites don't deal damage, but they do screw with his AI a bit and like make him actually do stuff. At some point he'll go in the middle, he does a little jump dive attack, he wants to jump up in the air in time to get optimal damage in, and then just wait for him to do his final thing. Doing that was a bit of a mistake, but it worked out okay. And that's Aqua's story. As for everything I've been referring to earlier, Terra and Ven, since we already have finished save files, we just soft reset out. Aqua, we create our completed save after we complete the run, because saving Aqua's save is actually what's going to create our bonus save for final episode. You're going to save this, then something's going to pop up here saying, congratulations, like you unlocked final episode, create a save. Because how you access final episode is by completing the requirements, and then you create a save for it, and you hit continue. Like, in the extra menu. So, the whole reason that we allow getting the Xehanort reports for Terra and Ven and not for Aqua is because when we create this new save for final episode, it saves the exact commands and the exact just Aqua character that we had to this point. So in order for this to be a true one segment run, we didn't want you to like do crazy crap where you set up a different profile where Aqua's level 99 or some other crap. That would not be fun. So this is just a way to make sure that it's a one segment run. And it's also why we go out of our way to get some extra stuff. Speaking of extra stuff, we're going to equip that now. Going to equip the Mega Elixir. We'll get to that in a minute. We're also going to equip the Counterblast, the Double Flight, and the Air Slide. Only the Mega Elixir is useful for these next two fights. So, say hi to Terranort, again, and say hi to what I wish we could do in Terra Speedrun. Terranort, meet Peter Pan. The fact that Terra cannot use it on you is just the most awful thing in the universe. We're just going around here trying to manipulate him to shotlock me, because I want him to shotlock me to fill up the command gauge faster. It's pretty difficult to fill up otherwise, as you can tell, even with Counterblast filling it up a little. He's giving me some pretty tough RNG in terms of when he's shot locking. So we're just trying to fill it up with reflections from the shot lock. I also try to hit him a bit since I'm close in this instance and I really don't want to lose it. And then once you have your command gauge built up, you wait for him to R's, and you use the finisher. That was really, really close to not killing, but it's fine. It's fine. And so that leads into Terranort again with a Guardian, who I always interpret to be like Terra's corrupted heart, like unwillingly protecting Terranort, but that's neither here or there. Mega Elixir gets your D-Link back, that's the whole reason we pick it up, and then attacking in the air fills up your command gauge fast enough that before he can hit you, you can do this. doing that isn't consistent because what he doesn't always do that attack at the beginning. But if he does that attack at the beginning, you can attack him in such a way that your command gauge fills up and you can murder him, and it's great. And that is final episodes. So now on to Secret Episode, otherwise known as Realm of Darkness. Because we're playing on crit, we get to unlock the Secret Episode. And Realm of Darkness is just exploring where Aqua is in the story after beating up Terranor a couple of times. Because after that, she ends up in the Realm of Darkness, and she's wandering, and like blah blah blah. It sets up 0.2 and other KH related stuff. So all of these extra commands and stuff we were going out of our way to get during Aqua's run were specifically for this segment. This segment and this segment only. So we're going to cartwheel a bit and let's start menuing. All of the extra magnets and all of the extra thunders, they're going in right now. Like, we're going to have the 2 Magnigas and the 4 Thundaras, and the fire and the bind we bought in Olympus are also going to be put here. Almost every cutscene in Realm of Darkness is unskippable. Why? I don't know. This game's weird. So, basically how this realm works is this little darkness pit circular thing just spawns a bunch of Heartless. These aren't unversed like most of the game, they're actual Heartless. And basically all I'm trying to do is space out my magnets and thunders so that they will remain in the magnets without ever dropping out. Which I'm kind of failing in this first fight, but like that's what I'm going for. So you know what the intention is. It looks like I'm standing around. That's because I am. Because I'm trying to time out the commands to where these guys will not break out of the magnet. Because if they do, that's bad. So we don't actually have to kill all of those black spots. We only have to kill 3 of them. That's one. The fire and bind we made just to level up. And now we're going to get rid of it, equip some sliding dashes. The sliding dashes are being equipped for a skip that is unbelievably difficult and I suck at. I'm awful at it. To be fair, it is very difficult. We'll get to that when we get there. This is the second of the required pits you have to destroy. So again, we're spacing out our magnets and our thunders so these guys don't get a chance to breathe, essentially. If I don't wait this out, then the command deck on its own is going to do what it just did there and just circle around wildly to random commands, and I don't really like that. I purposely wait to try to make sure its commands are like near to what I actually want them to be, so otherwise that's a lot of extra menuing and a lot of not fun. So go up here. Those things just send you in whatever direction you're facing when you interact with them. So if you just run straight into them, they'll push you straight back. It's kind of obnoxious. That's why I'm going out of my way to jump before then. Anyway, this is the last required of the little darkness pit things. And we're just going to keep timing the magnets and thunders to the best of our ability. Just time it out. When it's done, this whole little stem thing will grow, which, hey, more power to it, I guess. And we're just going to wander along it and try not to fall off like an idiot. That would suck. And now we're into the second to last room in the game. It has its own unique looking black pits. You have to destroy all of them in this room. The odd thing about this room are the dark balls. The dark balls hate magnet. They just refuse to get caught in it half the time. They are very good at just straight up avoiding it, and they are very good at attempting to kill you as they straight up avoid it. So yeah, you'll see that right here, where this one dark ball just straight up refused to get in the magnet. Twice, actually. That is not unusual. That is not unusual for dark balls at all. So when we finish this thing, this magic orb's going to go away. When you walk into it, you get this long force fight. So what we try to do is go up to this cliff. If you do specific movement where you double jump, slide, sliding dash, change direction mid-air, and sliding dash again, you can actually skip this fight entirely and go like straight through the air bubble without hitting the hitbox to actually trigger this fight. It's a very precise skip. It is very difficult to actually pull off. The good news is if you don't, you just do more Magnet Thunder, and it's not the biggest deal in the world. If you do get it, it saves 20 or 30 seconds, I believe. So it's well worth going for every run, even though you don't really expect to get it every run. So, because we didn't get the skip, we're just going to hang out for a bit. Hang out for a bit, murder some dudes. It's good times. It's hard to state in words how good Magnet Thunder is, but I think you got a pretty good idea at this point. Anyway, you don't have to see me cast Magnet or Thunder again, so... Final boss time. It's good old Darkhide. And by good old Darkhide, I mean this fight sucks, but don't worry about it. So... I equipped the ignites I had to this point, as well as a couple cures, and by a couple cures, I mean I screwed up in this particular run, so I'm using potions instead. So, oops. That sucks. Anyway. This is Darkhide. You can only see his eyes right now. Say hi. So, it's going to start out going into first-person mode, and doing just some weird stuff where he jumps at you and swipes. You just block it, ignite. You do that 4 different times. And you have to sit through this animation of just him pouncing around and doing that 4 times. One of those things. I goofed and thought he was doing a different attack that would have forced me to dodge, but again, it's fine. Say hi to Darkhide. He's cute. I think he's cute anyway. I can't take him seriously. He's too adorable. I would absolutely buy a plushie of this guy. But anyway, the strat is literally to cartwheel and ignite. Like that's the strat. Cartwheel, ignite, cure when it's safe. That's as deep as this goes. And you're going to see just how bad this can get. Because really, he just jumps around a lot and does like sporadic attacks in between the jumping. And all you can really do is attempt to hit him with the ignite while he's in the middle of all of this jumping around. that is easier said than done. It's very easy to miss an Ignite. If for an optimal fight, you just want an Ignite to be on him at all times, which is why I'm casting Ignite even when there is already an Ignite on him, because I just want to make sure it stays. Because I don't know when my next opportunity to cast it safely will be. And also I screwed up that whole concept quite a bit in this particular fight. But, yeah, this is the strat. Is just cartwheel a lot. It's a very tense fight when you're actually doing it and you're on PB pace after such a long run. Cartwheel has more than enough iframes for you to go through a lot of this craziness that's going on. Like, these gravitational pull things are probably the most annoying move, as they just pull you into it and hurt you. And since Ignite makes you hold still, you can't cast Ignite when you're near one of those things, or it'll pull you in, or probably murder you. And, yeah. Any second now, he will go into Phase 3. We'll call it 3. It's good enough. Yep, you get a little cutscene, he goes into Phase 3. He goes all plaid and rainbow, and then he does this cute little DM thing where he cycles around. And he gets a couple extra moves where he goes into rainbow and does some extra swipes and stuff, but it's really nothing to be concerned about. The strat's the exact same. You just ignite him until he has 1 HP left, then you either shotlock him or sliding dash him to death. And that is Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep Final Mix HD. All of it. All of it in an any percent context. That's it. The whole thing. I'd like to thank you guys for watching this entire thing. To the GDQ staff, thank you for considering this submission and taking the time to watch through it. I want to give quick shoutouts to Casa and KH Fan for joining in on this relay submission with me. I think this would be a really fun submission to show off and a really fun thing to do. Shoutouts to Sonic Shadow Silver for all of the routing he's done for this game and everything he's done for the Kingdom Hearts community. Shoutouts to I Am Grig for all of the routing that he did in Terra's story. Shout out to Missmaster for all the running and optimization he did in Ven. Shout out to Rebel Dragon for everything he's done with this game. It's ridiculous how much he's done. And really shout outs to anyone who has attempted to speedrun this game. It's a lot of fun, and I hope we get the honor to show it off. Thank you again, and have a great day and or night. Take care, everyone.